is a presentation of IMG College. Live from Brother Jimmy's on Easton Avenue in New Brunswick, this is the Rutgers Road to the Bowl preview show with Coach Kyle Flood, presented by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. To be a part of the show, call toll-free 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-FLOOD-44. Now we go inside Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. Alongside Eric LeGrand and Coach Kyle Flood, here's the voice of the Scarlet Knights, Chris Carlin.
And welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Kyle Flood Show. It is a special Pinstripe Bowl edition. Rutgers about 10 days away, a little bit more than that, from facing Notre Dame in the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium, straight up the Turnpike. Chris Carlin, Eric LeGrand, and the coach, Kyle Flood.
It is great to be back. Great to be coming off a 1-0 game, and a great opportunity for us not only to send our seniors out the right way in Yankee Stadium on December 28th, but really a great platform for where we're going and a great showcase for our entire program.
How's it going now, having all this time off, not having to go week to week now?
Well, as a football coach, I think our time off comes sometime after the beginning of August and probably after the first Wednesday in February when recruiting's over. So I don't know how much time off we've had as coaches because we had to hit the road recruiting for a week. We only had 1 week out on the road in terms of the contact period, so we did that, and we got out to see everybody we needed to see. And now this week we've really hunkered in, and we started the game planning part for the Notre Dame game in Yankee Stadium, and had a couple practices, had a good practice on Saturday, had another good practice today, and a lot of spirit out there now. A lot of guys flying around, and as you know, for bowl prep, you really get a chance to showcase the younger players and see what what kind of learning they've accumulated over the first couple months they've been here.
If you want to be a part of the program, give us a call at 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. If you're in attendance here at Brother Jimmy's, some of our regulars are here. Come on up front. Make sure you get to the microphone, talk to our friend Jimmy, and we'll get you on for your question for Coach. You can also tweet us your questions at our football tonight. When last we spoke, you were hoping to get to bowl eligibility for the 8th time in 9 years. You are there. So that achievement for this program, what does it mean?
I think it really is a level of success that is one of our minimal standards. We start the season, obviously we don't start the season with the goal of being 6-6, but one of the goals we have for each season is to be a championship program, and that championship starts with a bowl championship. And getting that 6th win puts you in a different classification of other college football teams. There's a lot of teams around the country and some very storied programs around the country that weren't able to get to that mark this year, and we're excited about the opportunity to get one more chance to play and the chance to earn a Pinstripe Bowl, a new era Pinstripe Bowl championship on the 28th.
What kind of momentum do you think you could take coming out of that South Florida game now, leading into a game versus Notre Dame right here in the Bronx with all of Rutgers around?
It almost feels like a home game, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it almost feels like a home game, which is unique in bowl season. I've never been a big believer in week-to-week momentum in football, but I think there's some confidence that is gained. I think we played our most complete game, and to do that in our last game, we didn't want to wait that long, but I thought it was our most complete game in all 3 phases, and I'm excited about what we were able to do that night, and I'm also excited about the opportunity to get a couple more weeks of practice and see ultimately what that'll lead to against a really fine Notre Dame football team.
Well, let's talk about for a moment how we did get here. The 31-6 win over South Florida in the final regular season game. And a couple of things that really stood out. Your defense, you were talking about playing your most complete game. Certainly on the defensive side, that was absolutely the case. So what did you see in terms of the big differences for you?
I saw us make some plays. I saw Grief Glassing with an interception. I saw a couple pass breakups by our secondary. I thought we did a really good job stopping the run, and that's something we've been able to do all year. That gets lost a little bit in the conversation at times, but I think we finished the season as the 4th-ranked rushing defense in the country, and we take a lot of pride in that. Now, we want to obviously get better at what we're doing in the back end and really in all phases of our pass coverage, and we were able to do that for that game, and now it's given us a chance to really build on it. And I hear somebody out there, I believe that is my man Joseph, who has showed up here at Brother Jimmy's one more time. He's excited for the day. He's got his winter hat on, so we can't see those golden locks of his, golden reddish locks of his. But I'm sure any second he'll be running around Brother Jimmy's. But no, I think what we have in that game is a performance, a one-game performance that we're excited about, some improvement by our younger players that we're excited about, and now the opportunity to build on it. I don't know that I don't want to make too much of it, because now we have to take that performance, we have to build on it, and now we have a great chance to really show how much better we've gotten on the 28th.
And as you're talking about young players, Steve Longa, do you even consider him a younger player now after all he has done this season?
I think any of these young guys that are playing in their first year, by the time you get to this point in the season, they're almost sophomores. Yeah. But I think the first time through, this will be Steven's first opportunity now to start a bowl game, and that'll be a different feeling in his gut, before he runs out on the field and comes out of the dugout, so to speak, in Yankee Stadium. So now he's got to handle that. But Steven's really handled everything very well this year, and I have no reason to believe that he won't handle this as well.
How he was not all-conference, I'll never know, especially considering freshman All-American Steve Longa.
I can't even say that I voted for him, because we're not allowed to vote for our own players. So they even kept me from voting for him.
We will get to some of the guys who were honored by all-conference, but what a terrific season that he had. And, you talked about the confidence factor, and coming out of that game, the way this team was able to perform on both sides of the ball, did you sense that they needed that little boost to kind of move it forward and really put a little extra spring in their step now?
I think we did, and I've been asked a lot about it, and I think certainly what was on the line and the potential finality of the season creates an urgency level that's unprecedented. And that's not to say that I don't think we played hard, because I think we did play hard as we went through the season. I thought we played with great effort. But when there's a finality to it, in professional sports, you get into the postseason, they talk about Game 7, the urgency of a Game 7. Well, for us, that was the Game 7, or the Game 6 when you're down 3-2. Mm-hmm. Without that win, there is no bowl game. There is no opportunity to play one more time for a championship. And I think it created a little bit of a heightened urgency for us. I thought now that can go both ways. I thought we handled it well. I thought we remained very focused in the midst of what could have been a lot of distractions. Not just ultimately what could have been after the game, but also the distractions that come along with senior day, the emotions that you have to handle that come along with senior day. And I'm really proud of the way the team did it, because I thought from start to finish, I thought we played a very clean game.
And as you mentioned earlier, Coach, a lot of bowl preparation is the younger guys getting that time out there. But you did have a young team this year out there on the field. So would you say that they practiced a lot more than you naturally would if you had, I would say, 25, 30 seniors out there?
There's no doubt. And it's shaped a little bit of our bowl prep in a little bit of a different way, because so many of our younger players, the 18 first and second year players that are playing such a prominent role on this football team, they're already playing. So now it's more opportunity to play good on good football to get them better, and then another opportunity to play a game. And there's nothing more valuable than the game experience that they'll get. But we've got some other younger guys like Nick Internicola, guys like Kamoko Ture, J.J. Denman, who have not played this year, amongst others, who are now getting a chance really to play within our system and show us what they've mastered to this point and what they know to this point, and really tell us where we need to go with them in the offseason.
I think that's one of the lost things about getting to a bowl game and the importance of it, at least, publicly speaking, the fact that it gives you up to 15 more practices to give those younger guys an opportunity to develop and also get ready for the spring.
Absolutely. And we won't get to 15 because we finished playing on the 7th, so we're a week later than most teams that are bowl eligible, but we're getting in as many as we can without interfering with what we have to do academically and getting our bodies healthy and ready for the game prep. But the practices we're going to have, and really we will have 6. We'll have 6 practices before we get to the actual game week next week. And I think those 6 practices are going to be really good for us.
Can you talk a little bit now how keeping the team focused going through Christmas now, and 3 days after Christmas having to play a game and some, not being able to be home with the family? Can you talk about how you keep everyone focused at the task at hand?
I think we've been through this a few times, and
younger ones.
I'm trying to think now. This will be our 8th bowl game in 9 years, and I think probably for 5 or my wife would know better than me. Probably 5 or 6 of them we've been away for Christmas. And what I have found, and we have our travel tree, and fortunately Santa's always able to find us on the 25th, and
I remember that.
Apparently,
Papa
there's
John's.
some elf that sits on the shelf who's watching my children when I'm not around, which is a little disturbing. But I'm still working through the emotions of that. But what I have found in the past is that the families tend to come to the hotel. They tend to come to the Christmas celebration we have at the hotel. It's a little different. Got to get up early. Got to practice. We have to get in our I believe it's Wednesday practice this year on Christmas Day, and the focus of what the team needs to do. Really, the definition of the word "shop," the discipline, the focus on the task at hand, and we're constantly reminding our players that this time of year you have to compartmentalize. A bowl trip and a bowl game is a reward for a lot of hard work you do the entire year, and we want them to enjoy it. But when we're on the field and we're practicing, it's time to work. And I know you've heard this expression, Eric, when it's time to work,
It's time to work.
it's time to work. And then after practice is over, then it's their time to enjoy it, not just with the team, but with their families and their extended families.
Let's take our first phone call of the night. Dan in Hoboken checks in with us up first on the Kyle Floyd Show. Dan, how you doing this evening?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
I just had a question for the coach. It just seems like the safeties are playing real deep on almost every game, and there's a huge gap between the linebackers and the safeties as a result. And that's where our most of the completions that the opponents are getting are. Could you just comment on why the safeties are playing so deep?
Sure. I think when we play cover two, that's designed for the two safeties to really be the deep half-field players. And when we play cover one, the single safety is designed to be the middle of the field or the middle closed safety. And in all those jobs, their responsibility is to make sure that everything stays in front of them. And I think really where we've worked the hardest to do a better job is to coordinate the under coverage, to make sure that some of those throws that are being made between the second level and the third level are at a little bit more higher degree of difficulty because there's some bodies in the way. And I think we have improved in that. But we need to continue to improve, and we're going to be tested because Notre Dame's got an excellent quarterback. Brian Kelly has an excellent scheme for throwing the football, and they will certainly have a good game plan going into it against us. So we're going to need to hopefully do some things to disguise and keep them from knowing exactly what we're doing all the time. And I think those things will all help.
We'll get into Notre Dame in just a little bit. Tommy Rees this year, 27 touchdowns and 13 interceptions for the Fighting Irish, almost 3,000 yards. On the defensive side, and in general, you did make some changes right after the season ended. Never an easy situation in terms of the coaching staff. How did you handle it? Why the need to make the changes in your mind? And also, how are the new guys kind of taking over in their roles, and Joe Rossi on defense and such?
We did make some changes, and I think I thought in every one of those cases that the people involved were handled it very professionally. This is a high performance industry and a high performance business, and when we don't achieve to the level that we want to achieve to, sometimes changes have to be made. And right now, Joe Rossi is our interim defensive coordinator. He has been in that role at schools he's worked at in the past. He's been in that room on defense for the last 2 years. He's a very sharp football coach. And over the past couple practices, I think he's done an excellent job. And he is currently back at the Hale Center putting together the game plan and getting us ready to be 1-0 versus Notre Dame.
And how do you talk to the players about coaching changes? It's not always easy. I remember my first one when Coach Emmanuel left, and then we got Coach Melvin in there. It was a little bit of a shocker, different methods. How do you talk to the team about handling different changes along the way?
I think you got to be upfront. I think you got to be honest about it. I think they understand when you're honest. They might not always agree, but that's okay because ultimately I have to make those decisions. And I think also if you look at just about every staff in the country from year to year, very rarely does an entire staff come back from one year to another. I remember John McNulty saying that my first year here at Rutgers. He told the offense, he says, this is a one-shot deal. Next year there'll be different faces. You have your seniors that leave. Sometimes you have juniors that leave. You'll have coaches that leave for different reasons. Sometimes positive, sometimes not positive. But every year is an individual season, and very rarely does everybody come back. So I think the players have adjusted. I think the players have done a good job responding to Coach Rossi and the other coaches that have filled in to the roles that they needed to. And I'm excited. And when I tell you I'm excited, I'm not just excited because I'm excited. I'm excited because Joseph's excited over there. There's no doubt. But I'm really excited because I've seen the way these players practice. And they've come out with tremendous energy the last couple of days. And that's really what it becomes. that kind of enthusiasm is contagious, and not just for the players, but for the coaches and everybody else around.
Now, take me through the week. You guys were out recruiting. A lot of the coaching staff was. Take me through the week in terms of how the players handled last week and how you handled them. Was it just a time to let their bodies heal? What did they do in terms of last week? And also the fact that they have finals this week.
Sure. We actually had a recruiting weekend going on, starting on Saturday and going through Monday. So right after the game, we kind of dove right into the recruiting weekend. We did that through Monday. And then the players have a couple days to just really relax, get treatment, get their bodies back. And when I say relax, I mean relax really from the physical activity. It's not really relax because they go heavily into the study halls, finishing up term papers, preparing for final exams. We lifted and ran 3 times that week, so we did keep them moving, but we didn't play any football. And then the following Saturday, a week from the game, that's when we started the preparation. That's when we started getting back to the business of playing football. And I even said today after practice, we practiced Saturday, then we practiced Tuesday, and there's great effort. Great effort, excellent emotion. I really like the way we ran around the football field, but it's a little bit sloppy because we haven't practiced a lot lately. And I think now we're going to practice tomorrow. We're going to practice Thursday. That'll give us 3 days in a row where we're going to go out there and practice. I think now we can get back into the rhythm of a practice week and clean up some of the mistakes that we made.
I was going to ask you, Coach, do you believe that teams, players, they need to get away from that football to get into that study hall, get away from just everything football for a little bit, for a week or two or even a few days, just to get their minds right into other things that they need to take care of? How important is that?
I think it's critical, and I can't speak for other schools around the country, but I know at Rutgers, this is an academically taxing institution. This is not a school where you can just show up and get good grades, and our players take their academics very seriously, and I think them having a week away from the rigors of football practice and the football meetings and allow them to gather themselves toward the end of the semester, I think that has always helped us. It's not something new this year. It's something we've always done, and I think that's the reason why we've been able to achieve academically is we give them some time to do that before we dive back into the bowl season.
Our telephone number is 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. If you're in attendance at Brother Jimmy's, come up, ask the coach a question, and tweet us a question at our football. We're going to take our first time out of the night. We're getting ready for the Pinstripe Bowl in about 11 days from now as Rutgers takes on Notre Dame up in the Bronx. A lot to do. Get involved in the show over the next 45 minutes or so. Let's step aside. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Looking for the best trained in the business? Look no further. Our members at the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 456, go through a 5-year nationally recognized apprenticeship program along with OSHA safety certifications, producing the best trained and most up-to-date electricians in the area. Fiber optics, high voltage, lighting retrofits, solar energy. We do it all. We're also proud to be one of the first building trades locals to be recognized with a drug-free workplace program. We at IBEW 456 are like Coach Flood and the Scarlet Knights, trained and ready to get the job done.
When it comes to football, you want your favorite players to stay healthy and on top of their game. Well, AmeriHealth New Jersey wants the same thing for its members. That's why AmeriHealth New Jersey has you covered with the answers you need to understand how the new healthcare law is changing the way you buy health insurance. AmeriHealth believes the more you know about your options, the less stress you'll feel. No one cares more about keeping New Jersey healthy, and no one is doing more to keep rates affordable. To learn more about health insurance that pays, visit AmeriHealthNJ.com. AmeriHealth New Jersey is a proud sponsor of Rutgers football.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Be one with it, and it will be one with you. Be one with your tires, and the road will be one with you. Handle Tires.
What's up, Rutgers? Y'all ready for some football? Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick is your headquarters for Scarlet Knight football, as well as your home for the Jets, Giants, and all your favorite NFL teams. With over 30 HD TVs, we serve up all the NFL action on Sunday and Monday nights, with amazing food and drink specials all game long. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's and put some South in your mouth. For reservations and event information, visit us at BrotherJimmys.com. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See y'all soon.
Our telephone number is 855-FLOOD-44. Tweet us your questions at @OurFootball for the head coach of the Scarlet Knights, Kyle Flood, as we get set for Rutgers and Notre Dame a little over a week away at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. And we're going to get back to the phones right now. He's not quite ready yet, but we'll get him up in a second here. In terms of getting ready for a game like this in particular, you know, it's strange. It's a place where Rutgers has played on a couple of occasions. Some of your players have been there before. 2 years ago when you faced Army, and then, of course, Iowa State in the bowl game. But Yankee Stadium as a football venue, take me into that, how it's different, and preparing for it. Is there anything different? I do tend to remember that there were some issues to get ready for with the field, because, you know, they certainly are not used to having football there.
I think every time that they've done a football event there, the field has gotten a little bit better. I think they're learning as they're going as well. I remember the first game they ever had there was actually a high school game. They had a New York City public school high school championship there, and the field got tore up pretty good. And then there was another game, I believe Notre Dame played Army, maybe? Was that the first one that they played there? And that one got tore up a little bit, and even ours that year got tore up a little bit. And then by the bowl game, it was better. And I think every time they've done it, they've gotten, just like you would imagine, the Yankees get better at it. So I don't think there'll be any field issues if it's a good weather game. You know, obviously, if it's a bad weather game, then with the grass,
be anywhere.
Then it could be anywhere. But I think that the first thing you got to do when you play a game in Yankee Stadium is you got to get there a little bit early, and you got to let the players go out there, and you got to let them look around, because it's only natural when you're in Yankee Stadium, you're going to look around. And I remember that. Even when we played Army, and then when we played the bowl game, they had the trophy out there the day before, and we had the walkthrough in the stadium the day before, which generally we don't go during the season to the opposing team's venue or to an off-site venue the day before the game, but during the bowl season we always have. And I thought that was really good to just, again, give them a chance to look around, to take some pictures, and really soak it all in, and then get back to work.
Can you talk a little bit about the events that you have going on now for the players once you get there that the Pinstripe Bowl has set up for both teams? We've been fortunate. We've been to some excellent bowl games. I think when you're talking about hospitality and you're talking about really a first-class organization, I don't know that anybody ever does it better than the New York Yankees. Mm-hmm. And they do a tremendous job. They do a tremendous job first in the hotel, setting up having a great setup for the players, so that when they're not with us, they have a great area to relax and enjoy themselves. And then there's a venue an event at Yankee Stadium where they host both teams for a dinner, and they have some games going on during there and some little competitions for the players to be involved in. There's a tour of New York City, a bus tour. There's a trip to the Empire State Building. There's a boat ride around the Statue of Liberty. Boat ride.
Sure.
I got on it. It was not easy.
And so they do quite a few things in the city for the players, for the coaches, and for the families and the spouses as well. And just as you would think, the Yankees do everything first class, and you're in New York City during Christmas week. What other place in the world would you rather be than New York City Christmas week? So it's a great host city. It's a great host team in the Yankees, and a bunch of great events.
Yeah, Eric, I want to ask you about this from the players' perspective in getting ready for bowl games. You got ready for a couple of them. Take me into that. What's in the player mentality when you first arrive and you get ready for that game, as you've got 4 or 5 days before you play?
It's honestly, you do take a look at the scenery, as Coach Flood said, wherever you're at, somewhere new. You're not used to where you are, so of course you're going to look around naturally and see what's going on. But you do take the method, as Coach Flood said before. When it's time to work, it's time to work. When it's time to play, it's time to play or have fun. So when you're at practice, you're fully locked and loaded no matter where you are. If you're on a grass field out in Florida somewhere, or if you're it's somewhere in by Yankee Stadium practicing. But then
Alabama, or even
I remember all these
Toronto.
random fields that we were on. But that's when it's time to work. But then when you get that time off, I remember even after I was hurt, being outside of New York City in December. Everyone knows how cold I am. I was out there for 4 hours. That's how much fun I was having with the team, just walking around in the middle of December in New York City. So it's definitely a good time. You take the opportunity that you get to enjoy your time with your team and hang out around everyone and just joke around a little bit. You're in somewhere different and you're just surrounded by your teammates. So I really enjoyed it. I know everyone else did too.
I will never forget being at the last practice of your freshman year at Hoover High School in Alabama, getting ready for Birmingham and the Papa John's Bowl. And Jamal Westerman was injured at the time, but was one of the seniors, and he was giving out the senior awards to all the players.
Torn bicep.
Yes,
right?
that's right. That's right. And he gave to Eric. He it's going through the whole list. And he says, most likely to be checking his Facebook status, Eric LeGrand.
That was great. I remember when Westy used to make fun of me all the time. They said I had a little compartment in the bathroom where I used to hide my cell phone. Westy was hilarious. He was always a character.
That's a great memory because I don't know how many people realize this, but the quarterback for NC State that year.
Oh, yeah. Russell Wilson.
I
remember
wow.
that. Oh,
yeah.
He was amazing in that game and got knocked out of the game.
He did. He got knocked out in the first half of the
scramble.
Game. It was really unfortunate. I felt bad for him.
Yeah, it was. We were really broken up. But now, listen, he was. Boy, that was probably the first time he was on the big stage. He was only a redshirt freshman at NC State at the time, and boy, what a career he has really started to have, and only in his second year. Let's get to the phone calls right now. We've got Rich in Roxbury. Rich, you're on the Kyle Flood Show. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, Rich.
Good. Hey, Coach Flood. Couple questions. First question.
Oh, hold on. What do you mean a couple? Is that two or six? What do you mean now?
First question. Out of all the young players who didn't play this year, which of these have looked good in practice and you think will make an impact next year?
That's a great question, and that's hard to pinpoint just one. But I'll tell you, the one that I'm the most excited about because I got to watch him practice this week for the first time is Julian Penix. And Julian Penix is a redshirt freshman right now, and he looks great. He's got to be up to about 255, 260 pounds. He will not play in the bowl game. He's not ready to do that, but he has been able to do some individual drills down there with Coach Panagos. And just to see him out there in equipment, running around and doing some drills, it makes you feel good about the future of our defense, that's for sure.
Okay. Second question. We've had some recent high-profile decommits, and I know you can't be specific with names, but you think we're going to have any pleasant surprises come February, whatever it is, February 3rd?
I don't think there's any doubt when we get to signing date there's going to be a lot of pleasant signees. I don't know that there'll be surprises. I think you never really can judge a recruiting class until a couple of years after you sign them. I don't know how much fanfare, how much excitement there was over guys like Anthony Chaffee and Justin Goodwin last year. But when you watch them run around as true freshmen, I know there's a lot of excitement right now. And I think there'll be even a lot more reason for excitement a couple of years from now as they go through their careers. But, recruiting doesn't end until the first Wednesday in February. And until then, I don't even think you can even begin to judge what a recruiting class will be. And even when you sign it, you're just at the beginning stages of trying to project what it'll be.
It's easy enough because if you go back through the history of some of the great players that have come out of this program, you go by the rating services, things like that. There were some guys, and one of them was named Rice, who was a pretty well-regarded recruit, but wasn't top of the list, wasn't a five-star guy. The McCourties, I believe, were both two-star recruits. It's got to be, to me, it's a little bit like a draft in that you hope and you think a guy's going to turn out to be a terrific player, and other guys turn out to be even better. Who knows?
It's always exciting, I think, for the fans when you have a guy who's a highly touted guy in high school, but there's no guarantee that that'll be the production you'll get in college. Very true. And we've seen it on both sides of the spectrum. We've had some highly recruited players who've been really fine players, guys like Anthony Davis, Kenny Britt, that's for sure. Darius Hamilton was a highly regarded recruit. And we've had quite a few that maybe were, what people consider under the radar, but they're not under the radar to us.
Right.
And I think what it speaks to is the most important thing about recruiting is not rankings. The most important thing about recruiting is not stars. The most important thing about recruiting is finding the right people for your culture. And when you do that, they will have success and your program will have success.
And out of like a class of 2025, of course you expect all of them, to be great, but how much do you really have an expectation? Like how many of them out of like a class of 25 that will be able to come out there and play right away?
I think if you get to 2/3 to 70% of the recruiting class that ultimately contribute to success on the field, you've probably done a pretty good job.
And lastly, I think the other thing that gets lost, February 2nd is the date when it actually matters at
Correct.
that point.
And it's a long way away. And at the ebbs and flows of recruiting at this level, if you track it hour by hour, boy, I'll tell you what, you can spend a lot of emotion.
Here's all I would say. When I was 17 or 18, if you asked me to go to make up my mind that quickly, I don't know if I wasn't that responsible of a young man, so I don't know exactly if I could have been counted on to make up my mind and go ahead and do that. But when you do it, I think it's a tremendous experience to go through. It had to be for you. Were you or were you not recruited heavily by Notre Dame? Were you?
I was very highly recruited by Notre Dame, and I'll never forget the day I committed to Rutgers. I was talking with Coach on the phone, and he goes, E, what's been going on? You got any favorites? And Coach Hill said that to me, and I was just like, Coach, how much I've been up at Rutgers and everything, and I think I want to commit to Rutgers. He goes, well, if you commit, then you give me your word. You gotta be a man. You don't go back on your word. And I was like, Coach, let me call you right back. And I called my mom up and told her the whole thing. And then I told her, she goes, if you want to do that, go ahead. And then I did call him back right after that. After my heart dropped a few times after when he said that to me, and I told him that he has my word. I'll be there.
It's hard to go wrong with any decision if you check with mom.
Exactly. I had to call mom up back.
But all right, just real quick though, give me a little sales pitch here, because when you ultimately made your decision, what really made it for you, and did everything come out the way you expected?
Absolutely. What made it for me was how close I am to here, 15, 20 minutes up north of here, which is really close in Avenel. Then just the atmosphere around here, I just felt like I wasn't being sold. So I was really, everyone actually did care. The academic advisors, all the players around me. I was coming up here lifting every day, and I'm talking with the players, and I'm not even here yet. I was just driving myself up to get lifted by myself, and I felt like I was a part of the team. And things like that, really stuck out to me. And then, of course, how very academically it is. Why would I go somewhere else when I'm 15 minutes away if I can just come right here when it's all here for me? So, I think that was just perfect for me. Everyone has different stories, but for me, it was just a perfect opportunity. I didn't want to take my talents anywhere else but to Rutgers.
Well, worked out pretty well.
Absolutely.
No question. Well, let's take a time out, and we'll get more into the bowl game coming up in just a little bit, some of the matchups, and also some of the postseason honorees for Rutgers, couple of first and second teamers, all conference in the American Athletic Conference. Let's step aside. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
There are few things as rewarding as sharing. When something makes your life simpler, it makes sharing even more rewarding. At Investors Bank, it's the way we do business. We've always concentrated on building relationships and offering banking products that make it simpler, easier, and more efficient to handle all your financial needs. And at Investors Bank, it pays to share. With our new Share program, you can get rewarded for sharing your investors' experience. Talk about the bank with your family and friends and provide them with a Share card. If they come into a branch and open a deposit account with the Share card, you'll both receive a $25 gift card from one retailer of your choosing. Call 1-855-I-BANK-4YOU. That's 1-855-I-BANK-4YOU. That's banking in your best interest. Please see myinvestorsbank.com for full details and disclosures. Investors Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Looking for the best trained in the business? Look no further. Our members at the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 456, go through a 5-year nationally recognized apprenticeship program along with OSHA safety certifications, producing the best trained and most up-to-date electricians in the area. Fiber optics, high voltage, lighting retrofits, solar energy. We do it all. We're also proud to be one of the first building trades locals to be recognized with a drug-free workplace program. We at IBEW 456 are like Coach Flood and the Scarlet Knights, trained and ready to get the job done.
There's one place for great basketball, and that's with the Scarlet Knights. And there's one brand for the best quality deli products, Black Bear Premium Deli Products, available exclusively at ShopRite and the Fresh Grocer. You'll never find any MSG or fillers in Black Bear Deli Products. For game day, lunchtime, or any occasion, choose the Black Bear brand. Let your favorite ShopRite or Fresh Grocer create Black Bear deli or sandwich platters for your next party. You can order in store or online at ShopRite.com or thefreshgrocer.com.
We We are back on the Kyle Flood Show on WCTC 1450 AM in New Brunswick and on ScarletKnights.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Rutgers getting set for the Pinstripe Bowl on Saturday, December the 28th, a 12 noon game, as they will take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish right around the corner up at Yankee Stadium. Really, I mean, in every way, this could not have worked out better because you're a morning practice team. You get a 12 noon game. You love having those. You get to play right up the turnpike, and everybody gets an opportunity to come. You get a high-quality opponent, obviously, and at the same time, you get to play on a Saturday, so I would think from a week of preparation, it kind of keeps everything intact.
It definitely does, and I know there was a couple options that would have been a little bit before that, and there is no such thing as a bad bowl experience, but you
Sure.
try to maximize the practice time as much as you can, and having a game on December 28th allows us to at least do that to a certain degree.
And what goes into when you do go up to New York and getting everyone involved? Is it the events that are set up, or is this just when you decide to bring the team up there yourself? How does that go into planning?
No, it really revolves around the events. And for
Okay.
us, we're going to arrive on Tuesday. And what we'll do is, because we're going to use our home site as the practice site like we did last time, we'll practice Tuesday morning. We'll have our normal Tuesday practice. And then we'll get cleaned up and we'll get on the buses and we'll head into New York.
All right, let's talk about a couple of guys who got honored this past week in terms of all-conference players. First of all, really remarkable, Paul James named the first-team All-American Athletic Conference running back. And I'll tell you, if he didn't miss the time that he did, there's no telling what kind of numbers. He certainly would have been well over 1,000 yards for the season. But what he could have done, and certainly as a result, people recognize that.
It's hard to think that he would have had anything short of that had he had an entire season. You know, the number one rusher in the country, you know, when he got hurt. And you know, I know we're going to get to some of the awards we gave out at the banquet the other night, but the MVP of our offense, and really the reason he's the MVP of our offense is because he's been able to create big plays in the running game. And that changes everything about how people have to defend you. And I think Paul's had an excellent year. We wish he would have been healthy the whole year, but he wasn't. But I got a feeling he's going to be healthy on the 28th, and I'm excited about that.
And can we talk a little bit about Tyler Crawford and his honoree? You know, I remember over the summertime and in the beginning of the season, you guys getting on him, making sure that, you know, trying to turn him into the player that he can be, and, you know, getting on him a little bit. And look what he's turned out to be so far. So can you talk about him a little bit?
Tyler was an important recruit for us out of Downingtown East High School a couple of years ago, and somebody that did not play on the line of scrimmage in high school. He was like a flexed tight end or a wide receiver in the offense he played in, and we projected him to the tight end spot. But it's critical for those guys that they have to become at least efficient in-line blockers. And I have an expression that I use in the tight end room. I said, until you become a blocker, all you are is a slow wide receiver. But when you become a blocker, you become one of the most lethal weapons an offense can have, which is a huge matchup issue for linebackers in the middle of the field, whether it's the Mike or the Will, whoever is assigned to defend him. It becomes a huge matchup problem. And if you can force the safety onto the tight end, it opens up a lot of other things in your offense, and Tyler's done that for us.
Another guy that missed some time but didn't miss out on honors, second team Batim Bujari on the offensive line, Coach.
And somebody that's come back to us and helped us in the last game, and he's back healthy and an important part of what we do. And I don't know if it was his first start, but it was one of his first starts, was at left guard in the Pinstripe Bowl a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I believe it was his first
Might have
start,
been his first start, but I know
I'm
he had
not
played
mistaken.
before that.
And in the last game, he was playing a little bit more guard for you as opposed to at center where you've had Dallas play the last several games.
He was, and really that's more a function of how well Dallas is playing and allowing us to operate as an offense, and we didn't want to disrupt that. We didn't want to change that, and we felt like having Batim at guard where he's played before could help us and add some depth, and he's also our backup center now, so he becomes our second-team center, and we'll decide who's going to start the bowl game as we get closer to it. But Batim's an all-league player, and I think had he been healthy the whole year, he may have been a first-team all-league player, not second.
And as you talk about adding depth, how important is that to be able to have Dallas come in and just bump a team over to a guard position like that? Is it, I guess that's a lot good to have in your arsenal too, or does it affect the other player who was playing the guard before that?
No, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing, and I can only equate it probably to our quarterback situation, to have somebody who's a senior like Chase who has experience to come off the bench and lead us into a bowl game is a tremendous luxury as a head football coach. And to have a guy like Dallas as your backup center there's no doubt that also becomes a luxury to have an upperclassman, in this case a senior, who has played in football games for you, can go in there and kind of steady the ship when the team gets hurt. It's a huge advantage for us as coaches.
One other guy, Janarian Grant, and it got so ridiculous at one point with the impact he was making. Teams just stopped kicking to him, and he got honored as a second-team return specialist. But with that being the case, Coach, this is a guy that the first time he touched the ball took it to the house back in Fresno and made some huge plays. The punt return, one of the highlights of the year against Arkansas.
And I think he would have gotten my vote for first team. I can tell you that. Mm-hmm. I think Janarian is a tremendous weapon for us in the return game, and he gets the ultimate respect. It's almost like the intentional walk in baseball. It's the ultimate respect that teams are going to do everything they can to try to keep from kicking the ball to Janarian Grant, and we got to continue to find ways to make sure that he's able to catch it, because every time he touches the ball, he's a threat to score. And
let's talk about some of the awards at the banquet. Can you talk about a little bit about Karan Pratt's award and what that means to him and everyone else, and the player that he turned out to be and how everyone else should follow?
Karan Pratt and I just saw him in the parking lot when I left the health center, and he and Lorenzo Waters said they may stop by, so we'll see if we get a special flyby by some of the fellas here. I think they might have been looking for a cheeseburger, but it'd be good if they stop by. But Karan's an easy guy to talk about because he does so many things, and he's done so many things before this season. I just think they were a little bit under the radar when you have guys. He played the same position as Mohamed Sanu. So when Mohamed Sanu broke Larry Fitzgerald's record, it's going to be tough to get some press when you're playing behind a guy of that caliber. And then last year, Timmy Wright, Mark Harrison, Brandon Coleman had a big year, and Karan Pratt did so many things. They just kind of went a little bit unnoticed by the public, not to the coaches though. He's been a very valuable player for a couple of years, and now this year in a little bit more of a prominent role. But I think it tells you everything you need to know about Karan. Sure, Jeremy goes down on kickoff return. He goes in, he scores a touchdown on kickoff return. Mm-hmm. That's a great story, and I think that's a high-profile thing, and people get excited because it's a touchdown. But the one that goes a little bit less noticed is we weren't doing a very good job at Flyer, which are the two outside players on the punt team who really are the primary tacklers on most of those plays. And he volunteers for it. He goes in there, and he makes the tackle. And that's just the kind of person Karan Pratt is. He's a selfless player, very talented football player in a lot of ways, very valuable to us, and I think ultimately going to be very valuable to somebody else at the next level.
Am I right or wrong about this? Correct me if I'm wrong. He came to you before the season or at sometime early in the year and wanted to play special teams, correct?
He did. And in the past, he had been a big part of our special teams, and as his role got bigger on offense, we de-emphasized him a little bit on special teams, and he wanted more, and we gave him more, and he did a great job with it.
And as you said at the banquet the other night, technically the fastest guy that you have in terms of a potential punt block, and we saw him do that.
There's no doubt. We time them all in training camp so that it's unequivocal, because the players do a lot of talking in the locker room about who's the fastest, and when it comes to blocking punts, Karan Pratt's the fastest one we got.
You should have let me get in that line back in the day, Coach.
It was hard because we had tried you at fullback, and then at that point it was enough. We put you back at nose
rock, Coach.
I'll ask you one more before we take a quick time out. Brandon Coleman, he earned your Iron Knight Award the other night, and he announced that he is going to go into the NFL this year. New rules this year in college, because we've seen some other players do that before their final game, that they're allowed to do that. Is that new?
It's not new. It's the only thing that they can't do is they can't sign with an agent.
Right, okay.
So they can make the announcement, but they can't sign with an agent. And I know Brandon's parents have done a great job in this process, and they've been the buffer between interviewing the agents and Brandon being able to play his last season here at Rutgers. And Brandon looks great running around out there, and I think the time off has been good for him, and we're excited to get him out there.
And you got to believe that this is a guy that's going to have a pretty good career in the NFL. The size, the speed, the ability that he has, and all you have to do is really think back 2 years to Chase Dodd to Brandon Coleman, 86 yards. I think you would sign for that again in about 10 days.
I was waiting for that to come up. I have very vivid memories of that completion. And then after he's done doing that for us, then we'll think about all the other stuff at the next level.
Let's step aside. We've got more to do on the Kyle Flood Show. Give us a call at 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Looking for the best trained in the business? Look no further. Our members at the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 456, go through a 5-year nationally recognized apprenticeship program along with OSHA safety certifications, producing the best trained and most up-to-date electricians in the area. Fiber optics, high voltage, lighting retrofits, solar energy. We do it all. We're also proud to be one of the first building trades locals to be recognized with a drug-free workplace program. We at IBEW 456 are like Coach Flood and the Scarlet Knights, trained and ready to get the job done.
For over 20 years in New York City, Brother Jimmy's Barbecue has been serving up great times as well as some of the best barbecue this side of North Carolina. And now Brother Jimmy's is opening in downtown New Brunswick on the corner of Easton Avenue and Wall Street. Planning a party? We have private rooms to suit all your needs. Or let Brother Jimmy's Catering bring the party to your office or home. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's and put some South in your mouth. For reservations and event information, visit us at brotherjimmys.com. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See y'all soon.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Do you live and breathe college sports? Wish you could listen to the games anywhere you drive? Well, you're in luck, because at SiriusXM, we bring you the biggest college football and basketball action live all season long. Plus, with exclusive in-depth analysis, shows from legendary coaches, and live reports on College Sports Nation, SiriusXM is your college sports heaven. Welcome to the world of satellite radio. Find out more at SiriusXM.com.
When it comes to football, you want your favorite players to stay healthy and on top of their game. Well, AmeriHealth New Jersey wants the same thing for its members. That's why AmeriHealth New Jersey has you covered with the answers you need to understand how